Feeling cute, might delete later, IDK. Um, so, I'm doing another solo video because this is something that more reflects my path than anything else. I'm not quite sure if Julia and I have connected on this thus far, or if she and I are on even, a similar path with it as of right now. So, without further ado, I'm going to discuss a little bit about why we have continually been mentioning lately. We've both had a hard time, and I do feel like, to an extent, it's collaborative, more of a, higher thing. A lot of people in a lot of places have been having a hard time the last few months, the last year, however it may be, and the heavy energy doesn't quite seem to be letting up. Now, can you put that into words? Specifically, explain what's happening around us? It seems to be kind of unlikely to make sense of that through language, but I think the majority of us that feel it and have been feeling it are aware that it's something outside of ourselves that is happening, and this is happening on a very large scale. So why has it been difficult lately? Why have I been having a hard time? Why have a lot of us been going through things that we can't necessarily explain? It seems like anxiety and depression are at just all-time highs for a lot of people, not specifically myself, but myself also, included. Um, so that's kind of the purpose of this. I'm not sure if that intro made as much sense as I would like it to have, but this is uncharted territory in the spiritual realm to discuss something that is still happening on a gradual scale that really doesn't seem to have much understanding or, even relevance in conversation up to this point. It hasn't necessarily been acknowledged on a large scale because a lot of us are just still running around in circles, um, not knowing how to talk about it, or, I think it's time to more specifically now acknowledge that there is something on a higher level that's making a difference, and it's not just us as individuals or us as empaths or spiritualists or whatever you may label yourself as, to help yourself understand the phenomena that you live through, more specific, as your own. Um, so the rules, given labels and given understanding, are as concrete as any of us want to allow them to be. Um, we're really all just making our own way here. So I personally, one of my personal struggles, and I feel like a lot of being able to make it through whatever it is, whatever shift it is that's happening on a higher spiritual level, is going to be making peace with ourselves. Because one thing I do know, all the people that I speak to, spiritually inclined or otherwise, or those who believe themselves to be so, whichever one is, there's just more in the way of some than others. Some of us are younger souls than others, and some of us have been here several times. And I believe part of the reason that I signed up for this is because I have a lot of experience and that I'm supposed to have these discussions. So, concrete rules, getting back on track here. The rules are as concrete as you allow them to be. So, one of the things that can hold you back from seeing past the physical plane is emotion. Emotion is a very powerful thing, and it's not frequently enough discussed that emotion, in fact, controls damn near everything when it comes to physical to spiritual world. When manifestation discussions take place, it's with emotion that we control manifestation. It's with our emotion, with our human emotion, that we are able to create our own realities. And it's with emotion that we connect to others and You know, legitimately, if you look at the root of anything and everything, growth and otherwise, and, you know, people that are in healthy places in their lives, people that have overcome obstacles, every single bit of it is mastering emotion one way or another. And it's no different with being on a higher spiritual plane. So, you know, you see Buddhists, uh, Hindu monks, you know, any kind of monk, they find a serene peacefulness within themselves where that's more focused around not feeling the emotion or finding the inner peace with themselves, to the point where, you know, they just take away anything, not to say deprive, because it's not deprivation when you're at peace to such an extent, but they take anything, they rid themselves of anything that could make them experience beyond that, you know, serenity. um, so point being here, it's a scary thing to do, to face what's, you know, really ate at you your whole life, maybe. Most of us have had experiences. This is what I began to hit on around the, I'd say, 3.5 to 4 minute mark. A lot of us have had experiences that still hold us back today. Say, when I was younger, I didn't know that specifically right now, what I am officially putting to rest. I have an appointment tomorrow with someone that's known as a crystal light healer, and my intention is to put to rest the complications I have with the death of my father, with the suicide of my father. In a note, he had blamed me, and the two of us were close. My entire life, it's all that I knew, was a struggle and attempting to get by, doing anything I could to keep my family together, my brother and sister and I intact. And, you know, I'd finally found a safe place for them, and I myself had, you know, moved out on my own, and I had experienced everything that the system had to offer at that point. You know, like, I'd learned very well how to manipulate it, and they were safe. And I had finally given myself the opportunity to begin living my own life. So I had found a moment of peace. I was having fun, and I was ready to reach out, you know, and then he was gone. So at this point, I was at the finish line, you know, and he was off getting the help that he needed, so I was under the impression. And when that came to an abrupt halt, my life changed forever in ways that I couldn't, you know, explain. And you know, this isn't something I'm trying to openly bring about in conversations with people. You know, yes, I talk about it, you know, and this is my experience. This is what's held me back. So I'm saying this. I am being I allow myself to be openly vulnerable to make others comfortable to do the same. So you may reach within yourself and find what might hold you back, or, you know, remember that experience that maybe you've made yourself forget, you know, those difficult parts of upbringing, or that person that you were with when you were in your mid-20s, depending on, you know, whomever, whatever your experience may be. Everybody, you know, has something that holds them back one way or another on an emotional plane. And that may not affect you consciously, but subconsciously, you know, it most definitely does. And I'd say that most of those subconscious brick walls are really beginning to come through. This isn't a time anymore that these things can remain hidden or stay stagnant within us. These need to be addressed, and things have to be put to rest, because I'm not so sure that this spiritual veil will be lifted. The universe wants us to be in touch with our spiritual selves, and it's being demanding right now. So we have the choice to submit or continue in pain, or to really look inward and search for who we are. And, oh, how did I word this? Don't be afraid to fail. Believe in yourself. Be authentically yourself. And trust the energy. Because it's ultimately what controls everything. So that's my current journey. And tomorrow I'm going to take a big step in attempting to heal things from my past and move forward with all of this. I've been on one hell of a journey this year, a healing journey for myself. I've given up a lot of things that have still held me back, and I'm nowhere near finished. There are a lot of things that I have yet to experience, and a lot of goals that I still have for myself to really create a more pure version of me. That's what I look for, how I can best serve the greater collaborative and, what I can bring to humanity as a whole. And it's difficult to tear yourself down. I haven't been as kind as I've been in the past. The last few months, I haven't, I've really taken a step aside from being, not to say just specifically a people pleaser, but even openly there for the people around me, the way that I would prefer to be able to be, the way that I always have been. And that bothers me, but I understand that it's important to take these steps for my self-growth. And in the end, it's all worth it. What's 1 year of my life, really dedicating, righting a lot of these wrongs that I was taught through the system, or the things that I've felt my whole life, and, putting these things to rest. Absolutely, that's an investment that I want to make, and it's an investment that I've actively been making. And like any other time in my life of great change, I've torn apart relationships, I've cut people off, I've given things up, I've made sacrifices, I've done the difficult thing to do time and time again. Now, it's important to note, and very important to keep in mind, 12:30 here on the clock, so might make a note of that, because this is a very important point. Willpower is finite. You only get so much, and you can only use so much at a time, and this is something that I've had to learn over the course of the years and over the course of my journey of self-growth. You can't, layman's terms, go balls to the wall with your growth. You have to take it a step at a time, and baby steps, not only are they, a good thing, they are exactly what it takes. That is how you do it. Steps at a time, and you watch these blocks become a staircase of their own. And where's that staircase headed? Obviously, it's your ideal version of yourself. It's who you have to be, because you are here for a purpose, and there is something that you're meant to do in this life, and a lot of people cut that short for themselves, which is how you may end up in a situation like my father, where he hasn't been able to move on from this life. Believe it or don't believe it, that's not my choice to make for anyone else. I'm sharing my story. And that's the move that I make next. Laying some things to rest with full understanding that I've grown a lot this year, and I'm finally at a point of peace with a lot of that, with a lot of the journeys that I've put myself on. Because experiencing the emotion it takes to tear things down can be rough. And whatever that veil is that's dropping on the spiritual world is heavy. So, with love and respect and appreciation, best of luck to all your journeys, and I will be tuning back in to discuss how this crystal healing session has affected me and helped me and my journey with all of that, and how I'm growing and progressing from this point forward. Because I believe it is very, very important for us to share our growth and our journeys, especially when we're taking steps in directions that aren't frequently spoken of. When we're doing things for ourselves to help ourselves that others may be unaware of, the opportunities that are out there, you know, to help some of that healing. So, if any of you have had these experiences of your own with more Western culture or Eastern culture, you know, please share. Reach out. I'd love to have either of you, any of you, sorry, sitting here next to me, having a full-on discussion about this kind of thing. That's the reason that this channel exists. So, appreciate your time. I hope that I've reached even one person, you know, or helped anyone kind of have a better understanding of why maybe they feel the way that they feel, and know that it's not only okay to feel like that, but you're not alone in any form of the way. Like, this is so widespread that, you know, it's unrealistic to look at it like it's, you know, this feeling that is everywhere is going to just subside on its own. It's time we learn to deal, and the way to learn to deal really seems to be to reach inward, because the more in touch I am with myself, the less it bothers me. Fear does not control me, and I won't let it, and that's where I'm going to leave off. So, love and appreciation. If I've left anything out, please ask. If you have any questions, please ask. Throw anything you want to in the comments. Reach out to me personally. We got the Kristen Says Facebook page. You know, I'm sure there's a messenger there where you can get a hold of us. Message my personal page, however it may be. If you need to talk about anything spiritual, anything that's bothering you, I am more than happy. Please don't ever feel like you're alone, because you're not. That's all we have in this world, is the opportunity to unify, and raw emotion. Raw emotion is the experience that we get from human life. So, be about it. Love you guys. If you're a fan, enjoy game day number 1. Here we go. Till next time.